Hello and welcome to another combat mission Fortress Italy AAR. This time we'll be playing with the Gustav line expansion. We'll be playing with the British Commonwealth forces. Our objective to the day is to assault a Fallschimjager held position located on the other side of this little river. Our objectives are to capture the bridge and the factory the Fallschimjager units have taken up. We're going to have to leapfrog our units up the trail to the factory, so our first objective is to establish a position on this ridge and use some of our heavy machine guns to deal with the enemy. There was a major rebalance in the machine gun units presented with the game, so now German infantry is deadlier than ever with their MG34s and 42s. As the Commonwealth, our sections have a light mortar detachment inside every platoon. We're going to use these in conjunction with some of these Vickers machine guns that I've bought individually to suppress enemy locations as they pop up. I've got to say, this map has quite a lot of dead ground for infantry and doesn't provide many routes of advance. I've decided to creep up our infantry force on the left flank and hope that they'll be able to use the gullies to advance. We haven't seen a lot of the Germans just yet. Only sporadic MG fire has shown us one or two of their guys. On the left flank here, you'll see that most of my infantry is crawling, moving through this empty field to get to the Brook's little elevated road / gully. As you can see here, the map is very devoid of any cover or concealment along any sides, really. On the right flank, we do have a little bit of concealment. However, anything past the immediate zone is simply just dirt and more dirt. Our first platoon arrives at the gully over here on the left flank. I send over a sniper team to investigate enemy positions and hopefully find a route through their defenses. Currently, there's a ton of ground that we need to cover. However, there's just a lack of cover and concealment inside these large fields. Fire superiority will be very important on this map, seeing as how everything is exposed. So far the advance is going good. It looks like most of the infantry up near the bridge control point is either routed or pinned down. Our scout team is able to find its way across the field, and what you've just seen is the activation of the war film mode it presented within combat mission Fortress Italy, the Gustav line. Alright, well, so far so good. We've established two positions right here, and we're starting to move more platoons from the rear to the front. It looks like the majority of the enemy's forces is concentrated in actually protecting the last control point, which would be the factory itself. We haven't seen a lot of Fallschimjager infantry just yet, however, their machine gun fire does make their presence felt. The scout team we had sent up is now exhausted from all of the crawling, and it is pinned down from our own MG fire. Unfortunately, we're going to have to keep up the MG fire due to enemy positions located across the field. We're starting to move up some infantry, so hopefully when we take the second line where there will be some cover and concealment, we should be able to get those troops out of there. From our current positions, we can see quite a lot of land on this map. I would guesstimate about 3/4 of the map to be completely exposed to us, although we haven't really seen many of the Fallschimjagers' troops yet. One of the things you may have noticed about the actual factory complex is that it is very, very, very devoid of windows. Our advance here is going to have to be very careful, seeing as how maintaining fire superiority inside this situation is quite difficult. There's a lot of little corners and hidden, tucked away places inside the factory complex that we just can't get our troops into. I'm going to move another platoon from the rear to the front so that our initial forces can press the advance and go up to the factory itself. Originally I had thought that the main road to the factory was actually open, seeing as how we haven't been receiving any fire. It looks like they set up a mini kill zone just directly at the entrance to the complex. I'm still trying to figure out a good way to actually get into the complex itself. The outside of the factory has very little entrance points and has very little observation points, so we don't know what's inside of any of the buildings just yet. I presume the little log cabin houses near the front are cleared, however the what seems to be central complex seems to be occupied, and the three large, I would say, storage warehouses appear to be unoccupied as well. We're taking a lot of fire at the gate at the main road location, however it doesn't look like we are able to identify what is actually putting so much fire onto these troops.
Heads down, lads!
Take fire! Take fire! Take fire! Take fire! Hit after!
At this point I feel like the best option would be to attack the factory from the side, starting off on the left flank and essentially swinging around. There's a little bit of resistance coming from the outside portions here, one from the little forest here and one from behind the three warehouse buildings. Since we have fire superiority over these two locations, I'm going to move some of my infantry to assault these two locations. Although it looked like we were able to clear out the forested area of some troops, our forces ultimately had to fall back. During this process, I'm constantly moving up more and more infantry from the rear to the front. So far, it looks like we don't necessarily need to commit too many troops. Though during this time, I'm constantly moving more and more troops to the left flank here and assembling them for a assault onto the factory itself. I'm going to get some of my troops to sweep the forested area again, and I'm going to commit some more of my troops to actually get into the factory's compound. This compound presents a very odd set of fighting conditions. With the lack of windows on all of the buildings, we can't necessarily tell if they're occupied or not. With the lack of entrances, they make great ambush locations, and the units will most likely be taken out trying to enter these buildings. I'm going to try to keep my units where we have fire superiority and stay outside of the buildings for as long as possible. I'm glad we're able to get troops up to the factory this soon. At the moment, we're starting to run out of ammunition inside our Vickers machine guns. Looks like we were able to flush out some of the troops from the ruins of destroyed buildings. However, they have fallen back into the main compound here. This particularly stubborn group of command infantry is especially difficult to deal with, though they are simply sitting outside in a fairly vulnerable location. These Fallschimjager troops are excellently trained, highly motivated, and veteran units, so flushing them out of individual buildings is going to be tough for our Commonwealth units, which do not have the same training nor the same experience. At the moment we control the outside, though the actual compound is a bit of a mystery to us. We can't get any troops inside just yet, but it doesn't seem like there are a lot of troops inside there. I still have quite a lot of reserves, and I still have quite a lot of troops behind us inside the starting area, so I figured I'll bring those up. Like I said earlier, we're starting to run out of Vickers machine gun ammunition, so I kind of figured we might as well take a location near the front of the compound here and just kind of work our way up from there. It's a good thing there's a fairly sizable hedge or something like that here. As we enter the complex, now that the front is secured, we notice that there's not a single soul actually on the right side or on the right flank or inside the middle zone here. It looks like the Fallschimjager infantry is dug in deep inside the main compound, and these warehouse buildings, which only have one entrance and no windows. Well, it looks like we're going to have to assault these buildings to clear them out. There's just simply no way to effectively suppress the infantry located inside these buildings without some sort of engineer support, whether it be flamethrowers or demolition charges for tanks. It looks like there was an entire squad of German infantry just sitting in one of those warehouses. If the majority of their troops are located in these warehouses, then I have no way to flush them out. At this rate, we're going to run out of manpower before we actually clear these houses. I'm going to try clearing out the main compound here once again. This time I'm going to split my infantry and get the LMG portion to actually spray down the buildings. It helps a little to just simply shoot at the buildings. It causes a little suppression, though I fear it might not be enough. Yeah, these buildings turn out to be death traps due to the lack of windows here. There's just simply no opportunity to advance with a sole infantry force. We don't have any artillery, nor do we have any tanks that are able to assist us. with the lack in demolition charges, there's simply no way to actually get inside and clear these rooms. At the very best, we'll be able to secure this place by just starving these troops out. Despite the unsurmountable warehouses located in the factory, I felt like this quick battle engagement was actually fairly well balanced. We were fighting elite infantry in close quarters combat, so I'd say we did fairly well. It turns out that the majority of the Fallschimjager infantry was actually located inside these buildings. There were entire squads actually located here, so these buildings would have taken quite a lot of effort to clear out. In the end, it would have been nice to have tank support, however we were playing an infantry-only engagement, and even at that, I would have probably checked the map for situations like this. You know, check the buildings for windows next time and see if that, if bringing some pioneers would help. This is Pew Pew Choo Choo. I hope you enjoyed the video, and like and subscribe.